Welcome to Season 4, Episode 5 of The Man Who Woke Up the Buddha. This one's entitled Amazing Grace. By the way, you can pretty much dive in and get the hell out of this serial novel anywhere. If you get lost, there are links on the Substack site to Season 1, Episode 1, the table of contents, and a family tree. Previously, after translating the buzzword-laden description of their economics class into something resembling the English language, Sid explained his business principles to Courtney and Sista, which consist basically of flying by the seat of his pants. "You studious little children staying for dinner?" Sid asked. Without waiting for an answer, he led them upstairs and told Di he was going to order pizza. She said she'd already had, and suggested in jest that they all go to the kitchen table and say grace. "You sit down, guys," Sid said. "I have to remember the prayer I say before eating." "Frankly, I just thank the food and dig in," the Buddha suggested. Sid went to the living room and came back with his dog-eared copy of Field Guide to Buddhism. Handing it to Courtney, he asked her to read his prayer over food. "First, 72 laborers brought us this food. We should know how it comes to us." "Well, that's easy," Sid said. "That would be the pizza delivery guy." And what were the 72 laborers?" the Buddha asked. "Courtney, can you two research the 72 laborers for extra credit?" Sista's eyes lit up. "You mean the people who raised pigs and grew vegetables and made cheese?" "Court," she continued enthusiastically, "we can interview butchers, bakers, and box makers." Sid gently interrupted. "What's the second one, Courtney?" "Second, as we receive this offering, we should consider whether our virtue and practice deserve it." "Consider it considered," Sid said, realizing he better keep his answer short, or they'd never get to eat. "Next, Courtney?" "Third, as we desire the natural order of mind to be free from clinging, we must be free from greed." "I'm not greedy, I'm hungry," Sid clarified. "Anything to say about the natural order of mind, yours in particular?" the Buddha asked. Sista came to the rescue. "All orders of mind are natural, naturally, because if they were unnatural, they'd be naturally unnatural." "Exactly," the Buddha thought approvingly. "Exactly, Sista," Sid said. "Next?" "Fourth, to support our life, we take this food." "I'm not on life support yet," Sid said. "Let's wrap it up, Courtney. The pizza must almost be here." "Last one," Courtney said. "Fifth, to attain our way, we take this food." "Maybe we better stick to saying grace," Sid suggested. "Smart move," the Buddha agreed. "Grace!" they said in unison as the doorbell rang. "Pizza's here," Sid deduced. "Pizza!" Polly cried out from his palatial aviary. "Don't give any to Polly," Di warned, taking the boxes from the delivery kid. "Kesey told me he's lactose intolerant." As Courtney, Di, and Sid got out plates and silverware and napkins and opened the pizza boxes, Sid noticed that Sista's head was still down. "You can look up now, Sista. Grace is over," Sid said. "What's the matter, Sista?" Di asked as she opened the boxes and announced the varieties. "Are these pizzas made with wheat flour?" Sista asked tentatively. Courtney started waving her hands to keep Di from answering, but it was too late. "Oh, Sista, are you gluten intolerant?" Sista put her fingers in her ears. Courtney whispered that Sista had no trouble eating that stuff, but the word made her tummy hurt. So did the words masticate and head cheese. "Well, fortunately, it's probably mozzarella and parmesan," Sid said. "Well, were there any vegetables harmed in the making of this salad?" Sista asked next, taking her fingers out of her ears, but squinting like she might not like the answer. "Well, as long as you cut between the cells, it doesn't hurt them," Courtney reassured her. "And I know for a fact that this pizza place always uses very sharp knives," she added, knowing the logic or lack thereof would appeal to her kind of but not really twin sister. "Besides, carrots are usually reborn as trees, which is more fun and has a much longer life expectancy," Sid pointed out. "Good guess," the Buddha acknowledged. "Besides, vegetables love to be eaten. That's what they're here for." Once everyone was settled, Sista raised her hand and waved it, as if hoping the teacher would call on her. "Sista, you have a question?" Sid asked in his most professorial tone. "Yes, Grandpa Sid, how did you fly by the seat of your pants to make your first $1,000,000? Sid took a large bite of pizza and began talking. "Well, I just thought then I bet in the oil futures." Dai sighed. The Buddha instructs people not to eat with their mouths full. I don't remember saying that, but I would have if any of the disciples behaved that way, the Buddha said. Sid swallowed and repeated. I took the $30,000 I made trading heating oil futures and invested in real estate. The rental income was enough for us to live on, but I got bored with that and started looking around for my next adventure, which involved, I said, losing about half of it starting a gourmet coffee shop back when people thought a cappuccino was something Italians wore. I like being ahead of my time, Sid grinned. That's a delicate art, the Buddha said. It doesn't involve going into the future, but letting it into you. Which means, Sid said, staying wide open. Any day, one day. Oh, wait, I have to text Zoe. Seconds later, he continued, it was actually January 22nd, 1984, and I was watching Super Bowl VIII between, give me another second, the Washington Redskins and Oakland Raiders in Tampa. You mean the Washington Native Americans, Sister suggested? Actually, now they're the Commanders, Sid explained. Courtney laughed. Doesn't sound like that's any more politically correct. Custer and Grant and all those other American generals who slaughtered them were considered commanders. Good point, Sid acknowledged, but let's save that discussion for dessert. So anyway, it was halftime, and suddenly this white-haired woman warrior in red shorts and running shoes wielded a no-nonsense sledgehammer. I didn't know Boudica did TV ads, the Buddha thought. Sid got distracted trying to remember the name of that ancient British warrior queen, whom he'd never heard of. So Sister picked up the story. That's right, Big Sid. I remember now. Well, I don't really remember because I wasn't born yet, but the warrior woman was being chased by 4 policemen as she hurled a sledgehammer towards a screen where the big scary guy was proclaiming, "We shall prevail." And then the screen shattered and I heard a voice. I didn't hear it because I wasn't there, but I know it was all about the new Apple computer. I like being ahead of my time too, just like Grandpa Sid, even when it's in the past, Sister explained. She is a genius. Maybe I'm actually in him to guide her. That happens sometimes. The Buddha found the thought comforting. And what was cool, Sister continued, and that it really was 1984, and that was the book by George Orwell about back when they called the government Big Brother, and he said crazy stuff like ignorance is strength, and how the more society ignores the truth, the more citizens will hate people who speak it, and that if you control the present, you control the past and future. And that was decades ago, so Big Brother must control now, which is why things are the way they are. And Apple was kind of making fun of IBM, but most people didn't get that, or that it was really about Atlantis and Lemuria. She stopped to take a breath. Di paused with a piece of pepperoni pizza inches from her mouth. Courtney paused with a piece of vegetarian pizza inches from her mouth. Sid paused as a big glob of mozzarella started sliding down the piece he'd just taken. Sister, Di asked, how in the world did you know all that? I was wondering that myself, Sister said, to no one's surprise. Did you ever read 1984? Di asked. Sister looked at Di quizzically as if she didn't know what that had to do with anything. Then Sid started talking as if he'd never stopped. So I started an Apple store and then another. By the early 90s, I owned 5 of them, all staffed by college dropouts who knew way more about computers than anyone, including their friends who actually went to college. Don't you kids want something to drink? He non-sequitured. Dr. Pepper? Sister asked hopefully. Doc! Polly cried out. I'll have one too, Courtney said, and I guess one for Polly. Better not, Sister said. Parrots can't burp. How did? Di started but just shook her head. Sid, she continued, you're leaving out the most important part. Oh, of course, he said. I also decided, actually, I told you, Di said, to buy a few shares of Apple. 10,000 to be precise, because the price was only about 10 cents a share, Di added quickly before Sid texted Zoe for the answer. How much would that be worth now? Courtney asked. This time, before Sid could answer, he was interrupted by his walking, talking, texting reference library herself, appearing from upstairs, picking up a piece of cheese pizza and taking a bite before answering. Well, accounting for stock splits, it would now be somewhere around 1.5 million. Depends if you reinvested the dividends come, of course. Zoe, Di asked, have you been here the whole time? Yeah, she said, like it was obvious. There was a copy of War and Peace in my mom's old bedroom, and I couldn't put it down. The whole of human history in one book? The Buddha was impressed. Do you still have that apple stock? Courtney asked. Some, Dai said, but only because I managed to convince Big Spender here to put 10% of its value aside into a college fund each time one of you kids was born. How did you even know you'd have grandchildren back then? Sista asked. Oh, they probably did multivariable demographic fertility projection, Zoe explained. Afraid we guessed, Zoe, Dai admitted. What about accidental Alice's daughter Liza? Courtney asked, referring to Sid's never seen nor heard granddaughter from his brief second marriage to Rachel, who disappeared into a California commune after failing to find either peace or love with Sid. It's waiting in a separate account, Sid said with surprising seriousness. Good, the Buddha said. You may dodge that karmic bullet after all. Sista began to look a little sad. Dai guessed right away. Sista, I thought your college was paid for. That's what they tell me, but it's not the same as having you and Grandpa Sid pay. Then she raised her hand and waved it wildly again. Who sang the national anthem at that game? Barry Manilow, Zoe answered. There was a long pause. And what was the final score? Courtney asked. 38-9 Raiders, Zoe said. I actually won a few hundred on that game, Sid remembered. More importantly, Dai added, we also made money selling those Apple stores, so in all we made probably between 2.5 and 3 million, Zoe said. What do you think your next business will be, Grandpa? Courtney asked. Sid just gave her a loving look. They both knew he might not live long enough to start it. All of a sudden, there was a knock on the door, and Marcus walked right in. Hey, you're not dead yet, he said, giving Sid a high five and reaching for the last piece of pepperoni pizza. At that moment, a light bulb went off above Sid's head. Wow, Sista said. She'd never seen a light bulb peering over anyone's head. She wondered if it was a 60 or 80 watt. Hope he sees the light, the Buddha thought. By the way, down in the footnotes, Boudica, who was mentioned, was one of the great women warriors of all time. She was 25 when she led a native British tribe in a successful, albeit briefly successful, revolt against the Romans around 60 A.D. Interestingly, the woman in the Apple ad was an English athlete named Anya Major, who was a competitive disc thrower. That's your bit of trivia for the day. Thanks again, as always, for listening to The Man Who Woke Up the Buddha. Paid subscribers get free paperback copies of the first 3 seasons.